Hey, welcome back to another episode of Local Marana. And I was just telling Ed today, the day we record this is Wednesday, and Wednesdays are one of my favorite days of the week. I love getting in here and hanging out with you. So good morning, Ed. How you doing?
Good morning, Clint. It's a beautiful day.
It is. It is. We've been off a week.
We
had
were
a lot
off a week, had a few things going on.
Yeah.
Went to the chamber breakfast. Really good crowd. And we're back to talk to the people a little more.
And you mentioned the weather, beautiful. This is the best time of the year to be in
That's
Arizona.
why everybody moves here.
October, November. Yeah, it's beautiful because we've still got the whole winter ahead of us. So
Absolutely.
That's why I love it. So this morning you're going to talk about collaboration and cooperation and some of the most vital stuff as far as just people engaging with each other.
Right. I'm going to tie it to Marana, but I'd like to start a little higher up in the collaboration and cooperation. There's so much vitriol in the political world anymore. And one of the words that I really hate to use, that H word, there's a lot of hate, and there shouldn't be. We can work with each other and disagree without being disagreeable.
And that's the truth. Amen.
And before I get started, I might even mention a lunch meeting I went to yesterday with Terry Rosema. We met with Jan Lesher and Sharon Bronson. Well, Terry and I are kind of right-wing Republican guys, and the ladies are a little more liberal and left. I love those ladies. Mm-hmm. We don't always agree, but we can sit at a table, have a conversation, and each of us give and take a little bit and stuff and try to work on things we could do together collectively.
You know, I always have felt that way left and right. I'm not a left-right. I'm a are we moving forward or are we falling behind kind of guy. That's kind of my mentality. But the reality of it is everybody kind of wants the same thing. We might disagree on how we're going to achieve that. But at the end of the day, the average person, and I would challenge anybody to ask, what's the 10 most important things to you? Well, they're all pretty much the same 10.
A statement I use a lot is means to an end. Mm-hmm. It's just like what you were saying. Everybody has the same end in mind.
Right.
They want everybody to be healthy, eat 3 meals a day, have a roof over their head, be treated professionally. It's the means to that end that we fight over. But we're trying to get to the same place.
And a lot of it's just basic pleasantry or politeness or courtesy that seems to be missing today. And you and I are a little older. We've been around long. I've never seen it at this level right now. And I've been around a while.
This is the worst I think I've ever seen it. I've been in a political arena as an elected person 35 years, but for about 40 years or more.
Actively involved.
Involved. And I have never seen it like it is today.
But you know what? When you mentioned your lunch yesterday, and Terry, for the record, is the town manager of Marana. And the two ladies you mentioned are with the county.
The county administrator and the chairman of the Board of Supervisors.
And it's important that we work together as a community.
And the thing is, when Terry and I meet with these two ladies, and we do that every couple of months, it's hugs, not handshakes. I mean, we don't hate each other. We don't.
That's lovely to see that
We respect each other. We don't always agree. But we try to come to a conclusion that could make everybody happy and achieve what we need to do.
So, has it always been that way? I know the answer to that. I know the answer.
Yeah, the answer is no.
Yeah.
It has not been.
Over those 35 years of being involved in leadership in the town of Marana, what percentage would you say has?
Well, I think generally, we try to get along with everybody, other cities and towns, and I want to talk a little bit about some of that stuff too. But I want to give Jan Lesher some credit. Since she has become the county administrator, and I'm not saying that she doesn't have pretty much the same ideologies as her predecessor, But her presentation of those ideologies and her willingness to talk about them and her willingness to work together for that end is a completely
night and day, isn't it?
Night and
Yeah.
day.
Yeah, because that was what Mr. Huckleberry was there. 20+ years?
Oh, 30 years, I
Yeah.
think. Yeah. But I mean, and I don't want to throw anybody
No,
under the bus.
no,
It was
no.
a different management style or whatever.
Right.
But if I could, I'd like to kind of start up high on the thing. I'm a
Please do.
member of the Arizona, excuse me, League of Cities Executive Board.
You're the president?
No, I'm not the president.
okay.
I'm a member.
A member.
And we meet 4 times a year up in Phoenix. Arizona League of Cities has a building. There's 25 mayors on that board out of the 91 mayors in the state.
There you go. 25 on this board and 91 total.
We're Republicans and Democrats. And generally, we get along pretty well. And we work together on programs. And, I mean, you've got small communities of 3,000 or 4,000 people up to Phoenix with 1.8 million, and everybody in between. Our president of the league is Doug Nichols, the mayor of Yuma. You've seen him on television quite a bit with the border crisis going on. Our vice president is Kevin Hartke from Chandler, 2 good men that I know very well. And we work on things as a unit. And we try not to make it a Democrat or a Republican or whatever. And we try to work on programs. I'll tell you something that we worked on last year. This bill 2674 that you may have heard of, where the state was going to take over zoning for all the cities and towns. Didn't matter if you were Phoenix or Hayden. And they were even going to take over some of the HOA things and supersede zoning and operation in communities. People on both sides of the aisle, including me, were irate.
Yeah.
We all worked together. We started calling our legislators and senators. We started calling anybody we could. Well, we fought that from both sides of the aisle, because it was going to hurt all of us. So that was a way we figured out a way to work together collectively.
That's a nutty idea, isn't it? A state zoning commission or board?
The big problem is, and we've talked about it on previous podcasts, this state is 300,000 homes short. People are moving here like crazy. They're bailing out of California. We don't have anywhere to put them. Or if we do have a place to put them, the people coming out of California have cash because they've sold their bungalow for $1 or $2 million, and they come over here and buy houses for cash. Well, then the school teachers, police officers, firefighters and stuff like that here can't afford to buy a house.
Right.
So we need housing. But we don't need the state to come in and play Big Brother and take over the housing market. But both sides of the aisle fought together. And once and it's probably going to come back again this year, and we'll work together on it again. But there are ways that people can work together.
And now more than ever, with all the major issues and outside forces and
there's so much vitriol now, it's really a mess. But we've been able to work together at the state level to bring it closer to home. PAG and the RTA here locally,
right,
been in the news a lot
lately. Yeah.
PAG is Pima Association of Governments. PAG is an MPO. And I'm trying to explain what all these things are. That's a municipal planning organization. And the RTA is a taxing authority, regional transportation authority.
What, nine members on the...
9 members on the board,
each town...
Tucson, Marana, Oro Valley, Sarita, the Tribe, the Nation, ADOT, South Tucson, 9 of us. One entity, one vote. And we've been able to work together pretty well. If you look at things, just a couple things in Marana, the new Ina Road interchange, the new Twin Peaks interchange. Some things that Oro Valley and Marana got are the improvements to Tangerine Road. Mm-hmm. Some things that the county and Marana got are the improvements to Silverbill Road.
Right.
And we've been able to work together on a lot of those projects. Now, we fight a lot too.
Right.
But we've got to figure out a way to work together. Because if we spend all our money and time fighting each other,
everybody loses.
You're exactly right. Nobody's going to win.
Yeah, everybody loses.
And so you're both losers.
I know Tangerine Road was the bumpy road back before we moved here, and my kids used to love my mother lived off of Tangerine Road. We'd come. I used Tangerine Road this morning. That's almost like a thoroughfare through there.
And
just wide open spaces. It's smooth. It's flat. It is really. You guys have all done it's broken in county, city, and two different municipalities.
Well, it's really Oro Valley and Marana. There's a half a mile of county
stretch in there
in the middle between us, but the majority, that's about a 20-mile road, really, from State Route 77,
it's
Oracle Road to the freeway.
Hard to believe that's the same.
And about
road.
8 or 10 in Oro Valley and 8 or 10 in Marana. But it's a way that we were able to work together, collaborate together, and build these roads, and it benefits not only Oro Valley and Marana, it benefits Northwest Pima County, and part of the city of Tucson, and it's a win for everybody. And we've got to figure out ways to work together. Right now we're fighting a little bit at the RTA. And I don't want to do too political, but, the city pretty much wants to run the RTA. And Marana and a couple of the other communities have just said, no, we will work together. The city's about half the population of Pima County. They should get half the money for projects.
Right.
But, you're not going to control what projects we're going to build. We're going to work on it together.
And that we're up a couple more years that becomes we're gonna vote on
2026. The RTA is done, and we're working on the tail projects right now. Tangerine Road from the freeway up to Twin Peaks is our last piece of the RTA.
So this is going to be a big deal as far as moving forward over the next couple of years.
We need to move forward, but we can't move forward if we don't cooperate, if we don't collaborate, if we don't respect each other's views and ideas. A lot of times people say in government the only good idea is one where both sides are mad. Well, at least if both sides are mad, that means the other side got a little bit. And they should.
Absolutely.
But I'm a big supporter of RTA Next. I think the RTA has been the biggest collaborative action in Pima County in the last 50 years.
Yeah.
There are so many things. The new Ruthroff interchange, Twin Peaks interchange, Ina Road interchange, Sarita Road interchange in Sarita, Houghton Road on the eastern part of the community, all widened to 4 lanes and safety and fast moving traffic. And it's really done so many things for the community.
I saw yesterday where the state of Arizona as a whole is going to receive $1+ billion in federal money, I guess in 2023, starting in 2023. I hope some of that trickles down to us down here, because that's the state as a whole. $1 billion seems like a lot of money, but spread out over a state the size of Arizona with as many needs.
Well, it's not nearly enough to do the freeway and interchange improvements in the state. I mean, you're looking at $10 or $15 billion, but
it'd be nice to have a little. Nice to have a little bonus.
But I'm hoping the RTA moves forward. One of our first projects in the RTA Next is Cortero Road, to do it the same as Ina.
Yeah. That's going to be a challenge.
That is going to be a challenge because we have a lot of businesses there.
That's going to be tough.
And a lot of traffic moving through there. But if we don't make the improvements now,
I don't know how you'll fix it.
Can you imagine in 20 years from now what that's going to be
It's
like?
going to be because I travel that, not by choice often, and I'm like, how do you engineer this? The engineering on that is going to be to pull it off and not disrupt the flow of business and commerce over there. Ina was a little different because of the structure of the interchange itself.
Twin Peaks was the easiest because there wasn't anything there.
Right.
So we could just go build.
Yeah.
Ina was a little harder.
And we were affected by it. Some of these folks here on Ina were definitely affected by it.
And Cortero would be pretty tough, but you do have a major Ina Road interchange and a major Twin Peaks interchange on both sides of it. People have to change their driving patterns and things to get through there.
You'd have to do it the same way you did Ina, really. I mean, there's no – because you can't build a temporary bridge per se to
you pretty much have to shut it down.
You got to shut it down.
About a year and a half once they get all the stuff
It needs to be done, though. I would consider that a high priority.
That's a collaborative type event. I'd like to even move it even more personally into Marana itself and how one of the attitudes we've had in Marana is let's don't worry about who gets the credit.
Yeah.
If the school does better, the town will do better.
Absolutely.
If the fire district does better, the town does better, And, a lot of the examples of us working together, I'll give you one with the fire district and the town of Marana. We both had fire codes for inspections for new buildings. They weren't the same.
Yeah.
So Marana would approve a new building, and Clint comes in and builds his building, and he's all proud of it. And you do the final inspections, of which you have to do a fire inspection on a public building. And the fire district comes in and says, you know what, Clint, this just doesn't meet. I've personally
seen that.
Well, what happened is, and I will give, Jason Angel at the town and Chief Brad Bradley at the fire district and a lot of people credit. They got together and started having meetings. They developed a fire code. You know the difference between the Northwest Fire Code and the Town of Marana Fire Code now? Zero.
Yeah. As it should be.
They came up with the exact same fire code. Well, this saves money. It saves time. We can work together.
Businesses can get started
If the town
quicker.
of Marana approves a project and what your sprinkler system is going to look like or how many security doors do you have to get out in case of an emergency or whatever, if it meets Marana's code,
then it's going to meet
that
their
is
code,
Northwest Fire's code.
I don't think the average person has a clue, really, of how the minutia involved in governing and leading communities because of all the different entities involved in it.
That's collaborative effort.
So all those meetings that people are going to have a purpose.
They do, but people don't see things behind the scenes. Right. If you build a building and it meets Town of Marana's fire code and Northwest comes in and says, that 2.5-inch sprinkler line should have been 3 inches, and you have to go in and tear all that back out, and it could cost you tens of thousands of dollars.
Not to mention downtime, lost money on
and
revenue.
You can't open your business, and so you're mad at Northwest Fire, you're mad at the town of Marana, and duly so, by the way. And we said, we've got to fix this. We've got to make it work. Again, doesn't matter who gets the credit.
No.
Doesn't matter who gets the credit, We work hand in hand together.
You mentioned the school boards and the school systems as a whole. To me, and that's being probably the most important of all, our education system is so valuable.
Well, we
Touch on that a little bit. Ed.
we share some park space. Coyote Trail School in Continental Ranch has a playground right up against the walking path along the Santa Cruz River. So we got together with the fire district and we said, we probably need restrooms here, because if you have that little kind of a park playground area is used during the school year for recess for the children. On the weekends and in the summer, it's used as a park along the hiking trail. Well, the town of Marana went in and built a restroom facility there for hikers and bikers or families that come and use the park. I think the school district waters and mows the grass. The town of Marana cleans the restroom and keeps it in good shape. Collaborative, cooperative effort, working together for the common good.
It works.
And it does work. And I'll tell you something else Marana has done with the school district. We realize that one of the reasons business and industry comes to Marana is because you have great schools for the people that work there, for their children or grandchildren. So we have done in major big development areas, we've even had the developer set aside 10 acres for an elementary school and give it to the school district. We can't do legally, you can't force them to do that, but we can say, hey,
you're prod a little bit though,
we'd like to have you here. But schools are very much a part of the of what's going on in our community. I'll tell you something I did just recently. I endorsed the new bond issue for the Marana School District, and I've had a few calls. And I'm a kind of a right-wing guy, and I'm not necessarily a big tax guy. But if you show ROI, return on investment, to the voter, the taxpayer, a lot of times they're fine. And my philosophy is we want young families to move in our community, to be police officers or school teachers or work at sergeant controls or whatever they do. They're not going to move here if we don't have good schools for their children.
That's right.
And that's just something we need to spend time on. We talked about wastewater plants, or we've talked about airports or landfills.
Right.
People are not real crazy about that, but you have to do it because it's a need.
Right.
Schools are a need. The most important people in most young people's lives are the little people running around in their house.
Yeah.
And if there's not a good school close by to where you can walk to school, or it's a very short drive, because most young families, mom and dad, both work nowadays. It's just a way of life.
Yeah.
You've got to have a way to get your children to school. And I'm a big supporter of Marana School District. In fact, I was just thinking, Marana was the first district that really came out with Chromebooks for all of the students a couple years before COVID hit. And at first I'm thinking, man, that's a lot of money, a computer for every kid in the school district. It was a blessing.
Yeah.
When COVID hit,
those kids were already
every child in the Marana School District had access to a computer because they could take it home. When they started out, only middle and high school kids could take the computers home, and the younger children had to leave them at the school. When COVID hit, every one of them could take them home.
Yeah.
And they had special events where parents came by. Little Johnny Smith. Okay, Johnny Smith. Oh, you're in here's a Chromebook.
Yeah.
And what a benefit that was to the young people in our community. And that's the school working to help people. So we have to collaborate with the school. We have to collaborate with the school district. We have to work together.
That, to me, that's our primary, should be, of all the other things we do, roads and waste and all that stuff, it's children. The education of our children, to me, is always number one.
So if we don't collaborate, I mentioned meeting with Jan and Sharon, Terry and I, or things we do with the school, or things we do with the fire district. If we don't work together, we're not going to be successful. I'll tell you some other things we've done collaboratively. As much as we fought with the county over the last few years, our council was a big supporter of trails. People from 5 years old to 90 use those trails. And we have beautiful trails in the Dove Mountain area and over in the Continental Reserve area and stuff like that. We worked collaboratively with Pima County because they were big on trails.
Yeah.
We might fight about everything else back then, but we all agreed on trails. Yeah. Well, Marana would pay to build a trail to a certain point, maybe in the town of Marana, up in Dove Mountain specifically. The county came in and picked up the trail in the county.
Yeah.
And so we made a trail system that was connected and easy for people to use and to navigate. Collaborative work works.
You know, I love that because you might not consider trails like hugely important. It is important. I'm not arguing that. But if you can find ways, even the simpler things are less, what's the word I'm looking for, less volatile ways of working together, trails being one. Now you know that you can work with that person. Well, if we can build a trail together, can we build a road together, or can we build a community together, or can we make our schools better? So a lot of times, just in life in general, you start out with some of the simpler stuff and develop trust and build relationships, and then you take it to the next level with. Is that how it works?
Is
that
exactly
how it works?
How it works. We worked together with the county, tying a lot of our parks to the Huckleberry Loop.
Yeah.
And people say, well, why would you do that? Because you can bring your family to a park, many parks in Marana, starting in far north Marana.
Right. Jump on the trail. And
park your car at a park, where you have restrooms and water and everything else, and get on your bicycles, and you can ride all the way into Tucson with your family. And we're doing another project now. We're building an underpass under the Cal Portland conveyor, which makes it easier to get through there safely. And that's a $3 million project. County money, town money, work together, serving the same people.
Yeah.
Collaborative efforts work.
I know you. You're a good guy. I appreciate that approach that you take, and that makes every situation around you better because you're going in with no it doesn't have to be about Ed. It doesn't have to be about Marana. It's the whole, and that's how we operate here. What is the biggest benefit for all of us as opposed to one of us? And having been one of the longer tenured elected officials in Pima County, that has to resonate with people around you, does it not? And I know that kind of puts you on the spot because I'm asking you about you, but doesn't that help in the process that you've had decades of experience? That people respect that. Don't you think people respect that you're non-confrontational when it comes to you want to see an outcome?
I think it does, and if you look at our council, we're probably the most experienced council in southern Arizona.
Maybe in the state, yeah.
And another effort I wanted to talk to you about, the Marana Food Bank in northern Marana, about a half mile from the town hall. Many years ago, and I'm talking 15 years ago or whatever, the food bank people came to us and said, we are serving so many people. And they don't just serve Marana. They serve Pima County and the outskirts around Marana and everything else. And they're part of the Tucson Food Bank system, but it's the Marana Food Bank out there. We need a bigger building. Well, we went to the county and where they were controlling our CDBG, Community Development Block Grant monies at the time, and said, we'd like to spend all our money this next year expanding the Marana Food Bank. And there's a big Butler building there that's huge. That has walk-in freezers and all kinds of capacity for people to put up food boxes and everything else. The town of Marana spent our entire CDBG budget, back whenever it was, many years ago, on that building for the food bank. Not a town of Marana project. But you know what? If there are men and women or children in Marana or the Abra Valley that need a little help, the food bank helps Marana. So we worked with the food bank. And we gave them our CDBG money. And we built that building. We don't own it. But it's a project that serves the people. Another project we did about several years ago, about 20 years ago, but I'm trying to show we have done this in the past.
Right. There's a history of this here.
The Chamber of Commerce was growing like crazy, and at that time, they were kind of the economic development department for the town of Marana. Mm-hmm. They were out there talking to business people, encouraging them to come to our community or work in our community or live in our community. Was just going from one rental spot to another. And I think today, we found a little house there in North Marana, paid $80,000 for it to show you how long ago it was. Yeah. It was a little 3-bedroom, 2-bath house. We gave it to the chamber and said, if you stay in operation for like 5 years and help serve the town of Marana as a visitor center, as an economic development engine, we'll give you the building. Well, they did, and we did.
And you did.
And again, collaboration. Why compete with the chamber?
Exactly.
We're all trying to bring business.
We all
people
want the
here.
same thing.
We're trying to create jobs. I don't care if the chamber gets the credit. In fact, one of the reasons I wasn't here last Wednesday for a podcast is I was at the chamber breakfast.
Yeah. We had people there. They said you said a lot of nice things about us, Ed.
I did, but what I'm saying is, don't worry about who gets the credit. Whether it's the food bank, the fire district, the police department, the development community, the school district, or whatever. If something good happens in your community, it benefits everyone.
I am going to give some credit, though. I am going to give some credit to you, and there's several members of your council that you work with over there. I believe firmly, without any question, that Marana is the town it is today because of years, even long before we became incorporated as a town. And that includes people like your parents, the Kai families, the Post families. Right. This is not an accident that Marana is achieving the growth and the prosperity that it's at right now. This is not an accident. It just didn't happen. And a lot of it is due to the tenure that you have put in and the time and effort, and as well as, I won't name names, but there are several members of that council over there that have actively worked behind the scenes, toilessly, I might add, for very little recognition. And I want to shout those people out, starting with yourself. I'm proud to be a member of the town of Marana, and it's due to great leadership, not just currently, but over the last 7,500 years, including the current administration. Because I've been here 20 years. The growth in the last 20 years is phenomenal.
Right.
What were we population-wise, Marana? Maybe 30,000 20 years ago. Maybe even less than that.
I think David told us it was 26 in 2006.
And so here we are. Here we are now.
We're about 57 or 58, bumping on 60.
And it's quality growth. It's not just.
But people come here for a reason. They come here because we don't spend a lot of time fighting with it. They come for the good schools. They come for a phenomenal police department.
The clean streets.
They come for
the
good
growth.
streets. They come for good parks. They
The
come
weather.
for people
Yeah.
that all get together to work for the common good and don't have to fight each other. You know, I think if you have the idea that if, you know what, Clint, if your business does well,
We all do well.
I'm going to get a couple more bucks in sales tax.
That's right.
No, I mean, seriously.
No, absolutely.
And I can hire another policeman,
Exactly.
which will keep you safe.
Yes, yes,
And me.
yes.
And my friends or whoever, my neighbors. It's a thing that if we work collaboratively together, we're going to be successful. I even think we need to support communities. I'm a big supporter of Vail Incorporating.
Yeah,
And was talking to Jan Lesher and Sharon Bronson. Well, you know, the county fought it the last time.
yeah.
They're not going to fight
Yeah,
it this time.
no.
They may not help them, but they're going to give them materials and paperwork
Yeah.
and show cost and how many miles of streets or what the park costs to operate and different things like that. That's people working together. You know, if Vail becomes a community, which I think it should, it's got
Yeah.
a beautiful high school
Oh,
out
yeah.
there.
What's the
It's
population out there?
I don't know what it
it's
is,
nuts,
but it's
though,
growing
isn't it?
like crazy.
Oh, yeah.
Vail is just Marana, Sarita, and Oro Valley on the other side
On the
of
other
town.
side, exactly.
It's a beautiful community. And, you know, it's a benefit to if Vail does incorporate and the local people start being in charge of local business.
Right.
And I'm not talking about a retail business, but I mean your schools, your
Right.
police, your parks, your roads. It's a happier community, and it benefits us all in Pima County.
So would you say, Ed, again, several decades involved in, well, you grew up here, your parents were involved, family involved. Are we now are we getting to the place maybe now where cooperation, and there are a lot of things have led to this. I mean, COVID and inflation, and people have changed jobs, people have moved on. Would you say we're now kind of maybe entering a new era of cooperation? I'm kind of sensing that from you.
Well, and I will tell you, and that's one of the reasons I like doing the podcast. You know, we did one on water, one on
Right.
parks, one on a little bit on history and different things. That's why I like doing this, because you bring a lot of people into the community. Well, they didn't grow up here.
Right.
They came from California or Illinois or
Illinois,
Washington State or whatever. They left for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
They may not trust government. They may not trust the school system, the police department, the fire department, or whatever. And that's why I like doing these podcasts. A lot of it's because of ignorance. And that word gets a bad connotation, but it's not. I'm ignorant on many subjects as well. It just means you don't know.
Yeah, guilty.
And if you get out there and I can talk to them about water and make them sleep a little better at night, realizing where we are with water, or I can talk to them about parks and trails and make them sleep a little better because they know there are great trails in the community and great parks in the community. Or I could brag about our new community center, which we just had a special meeting last Wednesday.
We're getting ready to start on that pretty
and
soon.
approved
aren't we?
that building, which is going to be 61 to 65,000 square feet.
Yeah, it's nuts.
It's going to be a little bigger than we thought it was,
Good.
but we want to accommodate everybody.
Yeah.
And collaboration. And like I said, it's children from 9 months to 90 years.
Yeah.
We want people to be happy and healthy in our community, and we want to work with them to provide them the benefits that they need. Collaboration, cooperation, mutual respect. That's
Boom.
what you build a community on.
I love it. I'd think that'd be a pretty good place to shut her down, wouldn't you, Ed?
Hey,
I want to thank you again, Ed. I really look forward to these. Ed and I are friends, if you haven't figured that out by now. We really are friends. But
Yes, we are.
I really appreciate you, first off, taking the time to be involved in this. And I love the transparency of sharing the information that you share with us. That's huge. It's important. And you mentioned the word ignorant. We all are ignorant about several things,
Right.
and that's why education is so important, especially starting with children, but educating anyone that wants to learn. And I know, again, reach out to Mayor Honea if you have any questions. You can hit us up. The town of Marana is available. Their website's on all of our links.
Call Linda in my office if you want me to come and speak to your church or synagogue or bowling team or
And
social
Linda will be
group.
on that. She'll be calling you up and scheduling you.
382-1908.
Say it again.
382-1908. Speak to Linda. Linda's my lifeline, believe it or not.
Yeah.
And she will call me and set it up for me to come and speak to your church or come and speak to your social group or whatever. And if you have a question or if you want to speak to me on the phone, call Linda. Give her your phone number or send her an email and give her your phone number and say, could the mayor call me?
Yeah.
I will call you.
Yeah,
You know
she
what?
will.
I've called two or three people this week on different subjects, and they're like, I can't believe you called me.
Yeah.
Well, I should be calling you.
Yeah.
I'm your neighbor.
Yeah.
I live down
Yeah, we're in
the
this
street.
together. Yeah.
We all live here, and it might take a day or two. I mean, I can't say I can call you that 5 minutes later.
Right.
But I will get back with you.
And
I
you may
will
not
answer
show
your
and you
question.
may not show up with groceries at their house or a cup of coffee every time, but I know that to be a fact, and I do appreciate it. I want to extend our gratitude here at LTD and me personally for you taking the time to come share this with our citizens.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, Ed.